From the murky waters of the sportsman's paradise, stories emerge. Stories of the generations of people who have shared in the bounties of the land. Stories of communities that have persevered through natural disasters. Stories of the abundance of fish, wildlife, and adventures that create an ecosystem rich in diversity. And from the silted banks of the mighty Mississippi to the soggy marsh bottoms, from the tops of towering pine forests to the depths of the salty Gulf, human and animal have shared this fortune for centuries. Enjoy these stories as told by outdoor journalists who travel across our state, documenting the adventure, sportsmanship, and heritage that make us Bayou Wild.
Welcome to Bayou Wild. We're here at Morton's Seafood Restaurant. This week we are heading out for hunting season. We are in the thick of it. People are getting their bucks. It's bow season, and we're talking about CWD.
Chronic wasting disease, very important issue. We chatted with Dave Moreland about it. He's got some suggestions to maybe change the management technique on your hunting lease.
Yeah, anytime a state gets the chronic wasting disease, then probably the strategy change is just to harvest deer. Harvest in all age classes, and the idea of letting deer get older probably is not good, because as that deer matures, that's when he starts showing symptoms of the disease. And I guess the shedding the prions through his feces or urine and saliva is more prevalent at that time.
And then, of course, we're gonna wrap it all up with a delicious backstrap cooked by Cava. That chimichurri sauce, it's so good. I made it after we had it there. You don't want to miss it.
All right, so we'll try to make it very pretty. Right, presentation is everything. So we'll re-shingle our venison back onto the plate. Okay. So now we can take our beautiful chimichurri, put that just right over the venison, let all that good olive oil and lemon juice seep into the cuts of the venison.
Closed captioning made possible by Ceto.com. Become a member. Discover the taste of Louisiana that's seasoned just right. Boiled to perfection. Enriched with tradition. A taste that's savory, crispy, and a little sweet. Discover the taste of Louisiana fish fry products.
Woo, boy! Heck yeah, boys! What? I'm not a DD! Nice to live, brother. Woo!
If you're lucky enough to bag a deer or a hog this season, bring it here to Double D. Double D processes hogs and exotic game and guarantees your product is always the meat you brought to Double D.
Double D Meats in Bogalusa, home of country smoked, spicy jalapeno cheddar, and other customized flavors.
Bring your deer or your hog here to Double D, where you always get your meat back in return. It's worth a drive to Bogalusa from anywhere. Double D.
Chronic wasting disease is a neurodegenerative disease that affects members of the deer family. It is 100% fatal in all members of the deer family. The disease can be transmitted from animal to animal. In addition to that, the disease can persist in the environment. So once the environment itself becomes contaminated, it can then become a source for infection for new or naive animals. At this time, there are 25 states and 2 Canadian provinces that have chronic wasting disease. The most recent of those states is Mississippi. They detected the disease earlier this year. In addition to Mississippi, the disease was also detected in 2016 in the state of Arkansas and in 2015 in white-tailed deer in Texas.
The imposing threat of chronic wasting disease in bordering states has led Louisiana's deer study leaders to ramp up management practices in an attempt to keep the disease from entering into local habitats.
Yeah, anytime a state gets the chronic wasting disease, then probably the strategy changes just to harvest deer. Harvest in all age classes, and the idea of letting deer get older probably is not good, because as that deer matures, that's when he starts showing symptoms of disease. And I guess the shedding the prions through his feces or urine and saliva is more prevalent at that time.
Another precaution suggested by LDWF biologists is to refrain from baiting and feeding. As multiple deer gather around food plots, the risk for any animals infected to transmit to others is increased.
The ideal there is if the disease does pop up or manifest itself, that you don't have that quick transfer from animal to animal, or that concentration of animals at bait sites where all the animals on a specific property are coming to one or two locations on that property. Obviously, that would create an environment for a rapid transmission of that disease. So those are a couple of things folks can do at this time to limit the risk.
For hunters traveling across state lines, it's important to be aware of the cervid carcass transportation ban, which was put into effect in 2017.
In 2017, we implemented the cervid carcass importation ban, which basically restricts hunters from moving entire deer carcasses back into the state of Louisiana. And they can, though, bring certain parts, which include deboned meat that's been cut and wrapped, quarters, as long as no part of the head or spinal column has been attached. They can also bring in capes and skull caps with antlers. However, they cannot bring the head or the entire animal back into the state. And the reason is the disease, chronic wasting disease, those infectious prions, they can be transported or transmitted even through carcasses. So the animal does not have to be alive to transmit the disease. Conversely, in Louisiana, we have obviously want to raise the awareness and encourage hunters to report any sick or emaciated deer, any deer that would look symptomatic, which symptoms of CWD could be anything from a neurologic animal, which shows no fear of humans, could be wandering or walking around in a circle. The animal can also become extremely emaciated towards the end of the disease because it actually quits feeding. In addition to that, an animal that's salivating or drooling excessively, those would all be classic symptoms of the disease. It is important to mention that many other diseases do carry some of those same symptoms, so just because those symptoms are observed certainly doesn't mean that deer is going to be positive for chronic wasting disease, but it certainly would be an animal that's a suspect, and any suspect animal we would like to test to confirm whether or not it is chronic wasting disease or just one of the other many other diseases that are out there.
Retired LDWF deer study leader Dave Moreland also encourages hunters to harvest younger deer instead of letting them walk for those trophy antlers.
Usually it's the older, mature deer where the symptoms really start showing up, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. And I always tell people, when that deer gets 4 years old, his antlers are good. And the chances of them getting better might be there if your habitat is there, but you're running the risk of that deer dying. There's a lot of stress on older bucks like that, and disease and issues like that. So when you get to that 4-year age class, that's the age class where you should probably start thinking about harvesting deer. And anytime you try to get them up to 6 years of age, you're just rolling the dice. It may or may not get there.
Hunters can also assist our state's biologists in the study of CWD by providing samples of deer harvested in their areas.
What we've learned with CWD across the country is it varies among states, but in general, we typically see higher transmission rates in males. Obviously, there's some social differences between bucks and does and how they behave. There's a lot of grooming that goes on. There's bachelor groups that form within bucks outside of the breeding season. Possibly some of those contribute. In addition to that, bucks typically have larger home ranges, which possibly could expose you to more danger. But regardless, those are some of the groups that we're looking for. Older males in general would have a higher tendency to be positive than any other group. However, it is something that can show up in any animal.
At this time, there's no known cases of CWD in Louisiana, but it is important for hunters to take precautions and stay aware.
You can do that, let some of the young deer that look good and healthy get older, but you're still kind of rolling the dice. But we haven't had it in the state, and that's the plus thing. And so, you know, I would say clubs, if you're doing that, continue with your program, maintain that good doe harvest, and keep your habitat in good condition.
We have not detected chronic wasting disease in Louisiana. We've tested more than 9,000 animals dating back to 2002. With that, though, we're going to continue to test and monitor for the disease in the upcoming season and years to come.
For more information on chronic wasting disease, you can visit wlf.louisiana.gov/hunting/CWD.
Hi, I'm Donnie Rouse. There are a lot of different reasons to shop at Rouse's.
It's the people. Everybody that works here is just so nice.
Our stores get deliveries 7 days a week.
They have such a wide variety at Rouse's. Everything's in stock. I mean, everything.
We use Rouse family recipes and ingredients found right here in the store.
It's the food. Rouse's food tastes like homemade.
And they're local.
Like us.
We also have great prices.
That's the difference Rouse's makes.
Here's how I guarantee my crawfish taste great every time. I use what the pros use. I use Louisiana Fish Fry brand seafood boil. Why do the pros use Louisiana Fish Fry seafood boil?
Because, guys, it has more herbs and spices.
It has a much better flavor.
It's easy. Just pour and boil.
Louisiana Fish Fry brand seafood boil. Find the yellow bag and pour and boil for great crawfish every time.
In South Louisiana, cool fall weather means time spent at the hunting camp. But Captain George Spivey of High Water Charters says don't rule out fishing during the colder months.
You know, a lot of people, they're getting all geared up for hunting season. They just don't realize the awesome fishing that you have here in Leeville, Louisiana during the fall. It'll carry on all the way through till second week in February, and then we'll start having a lull. But fall, man, there's nothing like it. It's a lot of plastics, a lot of cockahos under a cart, but I throw more plastics during the fall and the wintertime. Man, it's a fisherman's dream here in the wintertime.
Fall fishing from Golden Meadow to Leeville to Faucheaux and everywhere in between is traditionally a hotspot for speckled trout and redfish.
As the water temperature goes down, as we get further into the wintertime, I've noticed throughout my years of fishing that plastics does much better. I catch way more speckled trout and redfish on plastic. It may just be me, but that's what I find. I use a lot of plastic on the cork. I swim a lot of swim baits. And you just chunk it out there, and you just got to figure out what they want. Sometimes you can bounce off the bottom. I do notice it's just a slow roll, just pulling it to you. Normally works much better. I use that high weight to block the wind to fish in the marsh. Normally, if the wind is coming out of the east, your west side is going to have clean water. Now, I will go on the east side with the wind coming out of the east and fish that wind-blown bank and do real good. But once the water gets muddy, I have to move out of there. You got to fish clean water. To catch fish, you got to have clean water.
Let's hope it's not a yard. Let's hope it's a big over here. No, I haven't seen it yet. No, I'm saying, let's hope it's a yard.
Boy.
boy. What? Another BD! Nice shit, brother. Woo!
Captain George enjoys sharing his knowledge of the marshes in the Leeville area.
Colder it gets, you want to get up into these dead-end canals. The fish will lay up in these deeper holes, and as it warms up, they'll come up out of these holes and get up in these, back into these canals and start feeding on all the bait that's up in there. I mean, it's just, that's the pattern that I found throughout the winter and the fall that works the best for me. We got a lake over here that we fish all the time. It's a big oyster reef, and when it gets real cold, the fish will move in there and we'll hammer them. I think they just move up on that oyster reef in about 2 foot of water. The water's warmer. They really do good in there.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
Discover the taste of Louisiana that's seasoned just right. Boiled to perfection. Enriched with tradition. A taste that's savory, crispy, and a little sweet. Discover the taste of Louisiana fish fry products.
Find out if alternative treatment is the answer to your pet's health issues. Contact Dr. G at vetnaturally.com.
Welcome to Cava Restaurant. We're at the kitchen of Chef Austin Faucheaux. And Austin is not only an accomplished chef, he's also a sportsman. So that's a deadly combination when it comes to cooking fish and game.
You bet, Don. You got to know what to do with it if you're going to go harvest it in the wild.
You know, right now we're getting ready to get into the hunting season, so a lot of people still have some of last year's game in the freezer. So we're going to show them something to do with that if they need to make a little space. But also if you're someone who really doesn't hunt, but somebody says, I got some venison for you, and they give it to you. You don't want to turn them down, but if you don't know what to do with it, this is a great way to do it.
And that's exactly my situation, Don. I'm a much bigger fisherman than I am a hunter, but I have a lot of friends that hunt, and they know I'm a chef, so I do get a lot of freebies.
So what are we going to do with this venison backstrap?
All right, so we're going to do a simple preparation here, good for anybody to do. If you got a grill at home, you can make this. And this is a sauce we're going to prepare that everybody loves called a chimichurri. So I think we can handle the venison first. One good main point that a lot of people make a mistake cooking venison is overcooking it. All right, so a trick that is good to start with is to temper your meat. And what that means is to make sure your meat is room temperature when you cook it. You don't want to cook an ice cold piece of meat on a hot grill. By the time you reach rare, the meat inside is still cold and it's not nearly as pleasant to eat. So if you have a room temperature, by the time you reach rare, the temperature is just all the way warm all the way through. Right? And that's what you want. So we bled the meat a little bit. We just placing it on a towel. We got some of the blood off of it. That'll help reduce the game flavor there. And we're also going to want to take this silver skin off. Now this silver skin is just a little tough, a little chewy, so we just want to get rid of that. All right, it's got just a little tiny bit more in there. We'll try to take that off.
What about the fat on venison? Some people say it's strong, it gives it a bad flavor. What do you think about it?
I think a little bit of it is good. I really don't like to use more than that. You know, venison is a lean meat, so you just want to keep it a lean meat. But just a little bit of fat does help give you a lubrication on the grill. You know, helps for it not to stick. And it adds a little extra flavor. And you know, if you're eating deer, you want to taste deer. So a little bit of that flavor is fine.
What about marinating?
Now marinating is something, for this sauce, it's so powerful and it's so flavorful that a marinade really isn't necessary if you're going to prepare it in this fashion. But it really depends on the application. If you want to fully cook the venison in a braising technique, I would definitely recommend marinating.
But it's not necessary.
Not at all. Often we will saturate the meat in milk, and that'll help bring some of the blood out and some more additional game flavor. All right, so just like I said, very simply, we're just going to use salt and pepper on this one. Okay, so we just have a little bit of kosher salt, a little bit of black pepper, and you want to be liberal, especially when you're going on the grill, because when you go on the grill, half of it's going to fall off anyway. All right, so we're going to literally liberal season this. Lots of salt, lots of pepper. We can roll it around, make sure we're not wasting anything there. And since it is lean and we don't have too much fat, we're going to want to do a little bit of oil on it. So whatever oil you like. For this application, we're going to use olive oil. The more flavor, the better. Just a little bit of olive oil on there. Rub that in a little bit. And now we're ready for the hot grill. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and place our venison onto the grill. You see the steam, you hear the sizzle, and you know you're doing all right.
So how long do we leave it on the grill?
I'll do it about 2.5 minutes, then I'll quarter it, another 2.5 minutes, and then turn it. So you kind of evenly cook it for the same amount of time, but you want to turn it about 4 times.
All right, we're going to wait those 10 minutes, and we'll be back and show you the finished project with Chef Austin Faucheaux at Cava Restaurant. We're cooking venison. Here's how I guarantee my crawfish tastes great every time. I use Louisiana Fish Fry brand seafood boil. Why do the pros use Louisiana Fish Fry seafood boil?
Because the flavor is so good.
It has more garlic, onion, paprika, lemon, and not too much salt.
It has much better flavor.
Louisiana Fish Fry brand seafood boil. Find the yellow bag and pour in boil for great crawfish every time.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
The grilling of the venison is done, so let's get Chef Austin to finish up with our venison chimichurri.
Yes, sir. So chimichurri is a Spanish-influenced sauce. It's using a lot of fresh garlic and fresh herbs. This is a particular sauce where you don't cook the garlic, okay? So you use the garlic in its raw form. And the powerful flavor of the garlic and the powerful flavor of the herbs go extremely well with the venison. So we'll start with these whole garlic cloves. Put these here at the bottom. We have a food processor here. The badder the food processor, the better, man. You know, you want a nice, strong food processor. All right, so put a little bit of garlic down in at the bottom. The herbs we're going to work with today is we got some fresh flat leaf Italian parsley. Very neutral flavor, works very well with this. Throw that in there. And here we have some fresh mint and also some fresh basil. All right, this is a combination of that. Not a whole lot of that. Get a lot of the flavor from the parsley. And also fresh green onions. Green onion.
Love green onions.
Oh, yeah. And
Can't go wrong with green onions.
And then we just want to make sure we season this with some salt and pepper. Add 2 more additional ingredients, lemon juice and olive oil. So we'll start with the lemon juice first, just enough lemon juice to wet all the herbs. So the amount of lemon juice will vary on the amount of sauce you're making. So here I'm going to use probably about a 1/4 cup of lemon juice for probably about 4 cups of herbs here. All right, so now we can turn our food processor on. Start to grind up all the garlic, grind up all the herbs together. The liquid in the lemon juice really helps combine everything together there. It's probably one of the most crucial steps here is the adding of the olive oil. Now you want to add the olive oil while the blender is still running. All right, so you emulsify the olive oil in with the lemon juice and it really makes a nice sauce that way. Just add our olive oil. We're probably going to add about twice as much lemon juice, twice as much as we did the lemon juice. so around a half a cup of olive oil. And you really want this dish nice and bright green. All right, beautiful there. Pull a little bit out there for us. Okay, so now we're ready to tackle, revisit our venison. All right, so now we've had this rested. We've grilled it just enough to make it rare and warm all the way through. So now we can start to slice. Oh yeah, there we go.
Ooh, look at that.
Yep, so just warm, but still rare. Now, if you overcook this venison, it does get quite tough. All right, so we'll try to make it very pretty. All right, presentation is everything. So we'll reshingle our venison back onto the plate so your guests can eat with their eyes as well. I think I'll save those pieces for me right there. Okay. So now we can take our beautiful chimichurri, put that just right over the venison, let all that good olive oil and lemon juice seep into the cuts of the venison. The bright, fresh herbs to really help embellish it as well. And we're gonna add a little extra color here. We'll put some fresh shaved radishes on here as well. All right, you can always finish with a little more seasoning, one of your favorite seasoning, just to add a little final touch to it. This is just a Creole seasoning we have here. And that, my friend, is simply grilled venison with chimichurri.
Very good.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
Hi, I'm Donnie Rouse. There are a lot of different reasons to shop at Rouse's.
It's the people. Everybody that works here is just so nice.
Our stores get deliveries 7 days a week.
They have such a wide variety at Rouse's. Everything's in stock. I mean, everything.
We use Rouse family recipes and ingredients found right here in the store.
It's the food. Rouse's food tastes like homemade.
And they're local.
Like us.
We also have great prices.
That's the difference Rouse's makes.
Discover the taste of Louisiana that's seasoned just right. Boiled to perfection. And rich with tradition. A taste that's savory, crispy, and a little sweet. Discover the taste of Louisiana fish fry products.
Just thinking about that backstrap makes my mouth water.
Yes, indeed. Make you want to go out and get a deer. And don't forget to order your shirt.
Yep.
Tell them
Shop
how to do it.
SFT. Go to the Bayou Wild collection. You can get this shirt here. Also, our really soft t-shirts, the gray ones. And soon we'll be selling hats and visors, so stay tuned for that as well. And follow us on our Facebook page, Instagram as well. We'll probably have some new contests coming up soon. So stay with us and give us a like.